Hello, hello, hello! Welcome, one and all, right back to the Chaos Protocol. We are an all transgender, people of color led actual play channel telling stories set in an original, non colonial, anti Orientalist, dark fantasy multiverse. This also means that I stand against genocide and ethnic cleansing and support all oppressed peoples of the world struggling against injustice, imperialism, and colonization. So free DRC, free Sudan, and free Palestine. And now, with that out of the way, let's get chaotic. We are co-streaming tonight on Twitch and on YouTube at Transplanar RPG, which is the name of our channel, and on TikTok right here at By Connie Chong. So if you're watching this little thingamajig right now, that's not a word, you're seeing the live recording of Arc 2, episodes 9 and 10. Because this is a live recording, the final podcast version might differ just a little bit from the stream, but there's no wrong way to enjoy chaos, whether you are a live viewer, a VOD watcher, or a podcast listener. Tonight is a especially special stream night because it's also Chinese New Year, so Happy New Year, everybody! 新年快乐, 春节快乐. Chinese New Year, the Spring Festival, has always been very special to me as a Chinese diasporic person. I remember growing up, I would always spend Chinese New Year with my family, making and eating dumplings, and I haven't been able to do that ever since I was a young child, so it feels very special that I'm getting to share it with all of you tonight, especially in Arc 2, which is set in an original Chinese fantasy-inspired setting. So all of you being here means a lot to me. Hello, thank you, Happy New Year. Happy Year of the Dragon! Translators, let's put some dragons in chat! If you're on TikTok, you can learn more about our channel by going to the link in my bio, and if you tap those hearts, that really helps boost us up to the top of being discovered, so that's super helpful. If you want something to do while you're on your phone, just tap those hearts, tap those dragons. But with that out of the way, let me introduce my fantabulous cast for the evening, starting with Valiant Dorian.
Hello everybody, my name is Valiant Lovewoods Dorian. I use he him his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet and all around the internet at Valiant Dorian, right? Also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. Tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of playing your favorite misbeloved little meow meow, Sayir, who uses he, they pronouns. And I'm going to pass introductions over to Kai.
Thanks. Hi everybody, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns, and I am back playing semi-functional cowboy named Zanin Esh, who uses he, him pronouns. Sam, it's a beautiful day. Why don't you close us for intros?
Hello everyone, it's Sam here. Playing, our girl Lumira, who uses she, her pronouns. I myself, however, use she, they, and the occasional fae. We're coming up on Valentine's Day. Let's put some hearts in the chat. Just a little bit. Just a little Lumira love in the chat or whatever. That's just for me. I'm gonna stop bullshitting. Hey, what's up, boss?
It's me, the boss. So to start off our announcements, as always, a massive thank you to our sponsors for Arc 2 who make doing this possible. So that's Explain Trade, Cheipeku, and Hero Forge. Explain Trade, of all things, is a negotiation skills training consultancy, believing in the power of Transplaners' potential to grow, tell great stories, and uplift our communities. So thank you so much for believing in us now and always. Dimitri Opines on Twitter, give him a follow. Cheipeku is an incredible TTRPG company that creates unique, imaginative, and outlandish TTRPG and D&D battle maps you can't find anywhere else. Seriously, it's beautiful. We use them in the backgrounds of our streams sometimes. They have dozens of variations like seasons, time of day, even weather effects, and you can use VTT integrations with just about any VTT out there, like Roll20, Alchemy, Owlbear, Rodeo, basically anything you think of to help make your worlds come to life. So pledge to Cheipeku's Patreon today for as little as $1 per map pack or scene pack. And use exclamation point sponsors in chat if you're in the Twitch chat, this won't work on TikTok, to get a full list of our supporters for this stream, and make sure to stick around during the break to check out their products. We do roll a little ad reel every time as well, in addition to a fan art reel. Val, take it away.
Absolutely happy to take it away. We'd also want to take a moment to thank our Patreon precepts. These are folks pledged to the highest tier on our Patreon. Thank you so much to Alex, Astrid, The Bow System, Charles, Cassidy, Cora Eckert, Derek Davidson, Jordan, Lex, Lyle and Peanut, Mark J, Phil, Rose, Spencer, and Stardeers for supporting the second arc of Chaos. Use exclamation point Patreon in chat to learn more about our rewards and get access to some truly devious behind the scenes content. Kai?
Not devious. If you're enjoying the Chaos Protocol, please consider donating and leaving us a tip. All tips go towards us as performers and will also be used to support our incredible mod team. Every time you donate $15 or more, you'll be entered into a raffle to win a very special dice set from Dispel Dice. Does this set remind you of anyone? Connie?
Perhaps I should have prepared this earlier. Look at this beautiful Chinese New Year themed dice bag that I got. It's huge from Dispel Dice. It's one of these 3 dice. So Sam, please take it away as I attempt to find the correct set.
Use exclamation point donate in chat and toss a coin to the Twilight Guard.
Well, in the meantime, I might as well. Last time on the Chaos Protocol, Strike Team Nova meets Xiao Sheng, the last god in the City of Heaven. They learn about the strange mist that took all the other gods away and the declaration of the Emperor's virtue. Nova agrees to help look for clues and investigates a gambling house in the Black River. After uncovering a blackmail scheme and a vision of disaster in the mortal realm, they turn up to meet with Xiao Sheng and find themselves covered in mist. Use exclamation point recap in the chat to read our full written recap document.
Yes, that's how you can get caught up if you're new here, wondering what's going on, or just want to read really quickly before hopping into our streams every Saturday at 8. Before I continue about content warnings, this is what the dice look like.
Those are so sexy.
They're so beautiful.
No, they're literally so beautiful. We're
Connie.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Now it really
Don't worry
reminds
about
me of
that.
the person that they're supposed to remind us
That,
of.
wow, truly, just like seeing herself fallen
I've
too
been
early for her
personally
time.
dragged by Connie on my carpeted floor. So rest assured they're in good hands, hopefully.
Great save.
I don't know where one of them went, but I will find them after the stream during the break. But they're
Perilous.
beautiful. If you donate at least $15, you will be entered automatically into a giveaway for this. So if you're trying to find a place to donate, that's in our Twitch chat. Go to translatorrpg.com to learn more about where you can find us and watch us. But with that out of the way, the Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. I'm supposed to do this with a gravitas and seriousness. I'm so sorry, y'all. So content warnings for this session may include fantasy violence, grief, trauma, memory loss, depictions of heights, complex and complicated relationships, visions, romance, guns as weaponry, alcohol and drug use, and mentions of death of loved ones and family. So if you're in the Twitch chat, use exclamation point CW to get a look at our content warnings at any time. As for the title of tonight's episode, it is The Dragon Calls for Hidden Truth, from Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chong. Let's begin. Even at night, the City of Heaven is alive. Under the dusky light of a perpetual eventide, the gods of the sister realms go about their business tonight as they have every night before for 10,000 years. In the vaulted halls of the Azure complex, bureaucrats mill from office to archive to registry, their arms piled high with innumerable magical scrolls. Stress pulls at the corners of their mouths, fear shining in their eyes like coins as they count. In the storied depths of the Vermilion Library, archivists dutifully shelve books and pore through tomes, the flickering firelight from nearby candles refracting off thick glasses. Among these librarians, we find a regal god with bright, wavy orange hair trailing past fair shoulders in manicured waves. Fair ruby-red lips are a spot of crimson amidst fair otherwise emerald-green skin. White robes drape past fair tall form with a black cloak on top and an amber bamboo staff in fair grasp. As this god closes the book fair reading, a treatise on monsters, we swish over to the red-hot furnaces of the White Forge. Metal clangs, heat surges, sweat runs down well-muscled forearms. On the outskirts of the White Forge, by the Merchant's Square, we find an artistic god, fairly short but with a boisterous personality that makes him feel much taller. They're fat, with a vibrant, sunflower-tinged golden skin speckled with white freckles and fluffy light blonde hair shaved on one side. The low neckline of her purple robes reveals top surgery scars and red floral tattoos across her chest. As they hawk an assortment of trinkets at passers-by, boldly claiming that they were smithed by the Forge Master herself and will protect the gods from the peril they find themselves in, a long line of worried deities forms at their kiosk. And on a loud clang from the Forge Master's hammer, we smash to the dark tides of the Black River. The smell of incense wafts up from forbidden temples. The fragrance of delectable foods emanates from luxurious restaurants. In every part of the Black River and the entire city of Heaven, we see paper lanterns hanging from eaves, market stalls brimming with shiny treasures, and streets littered with firecracker shells. The signs of festivity are everywhere, but the feeling of it is absent. Even as the gods do what they've always done, working in the Azure Palace, reading in the Vermilion Library, smithing in the White Forge, carousing in the Black River, an oppressive feeling hangs in the air. It is as thick as the nighttime mist that swaddles the city of Heaven, obscuring the stars, the moon, the very sky itself, until the entire horizon is a muddled palette. That oppressive feeling is dread. Yes, dread. Something is wrong. Terribly wrong. And everyone knows it. Anxiety hangs on the divine faces of the gods like shadows flitting across the surface of the sun. Whispers abound. In every building, every courtyard, every alley, though a few gods do roam the streets, most of them crowd indoors, with windows shut, candles lit, and magical wards sealing the thresholds closed. The Black River is no exception. Even in this den of religion and debauchery, all carousing is done under the safe havens of roofs. The streets are sparse. A few drunken gods wander the roads, crossing bridges under the ghostly light of an unseen moon hidden behind thick layers of mist. Busy silhouettes flit past the papered windows of pleasure palaces, temples, gambling houses. The sweet, heady smell of incense and cigarette smoke hangs at eye level. The sound of laughing and arguing is muffled, not just by doors and windows and walls, but by the very mist itself. This dense fog kisses the surface of the dark canals and rivers that flow through this water town, rolling off the waves like a white-robed specter. Strike Team Nova. As the mist thins around your bodies, you find yourselves standing in front of the No Regrets Casino, the gambling house you were investigating not 2 seconds prior. Or was it 2 minutes prior? 2 hours? Days? You feel disoriented, not just within your bodies, but within space, within time. You remember heading out in a fugue state, back onto the street, and you find yourselves once again facing the entrance, as though you'd never set foot inside at all. The doors are shut. There's no one guarding them, but you do hear telltale signs of life. You hear cards shuffling over sleek wooden surfaces. You hear tiles clacking against bright green felt. You see light bleeding from under the doors, spilling onto the ramp before you, golden and bright. There are voices beyond, hushed, shrouded voices as the gods shelter from what hunts them? What haunts them? Mist curls around your feet. It's not as dense as it was when it first rolled in, but it does obscure your vision to such an extent that you can't see more than a single block in any direction. But this time, you are certainly not alone. So how do you step out of the mist and into the city of heaven again?
Thayer's so disoriented. He feels a rattling in his head as he claps onto his forehead and pushes past the curls in his head, tapping against the fuzz that exists on the tips of his antlers, still growing in after losing them in the Wild Sea. And he taps this as if tapping against an old wound, hoping to ground himself in some way, to feel present and real in some way. And as his ears perk and actually take a beat to listen, to understand the lessons of the great huntress who had taught him to pay attention, card shuffling, life, movement. And Say is brought back, and the first thing on his mind is Nova. He rolls round to look for Strike Team Nova. It's like, Nova? Nova? Oh, you're here. You're
Right here.
Oh.
Here.
Zynon has his hand inside of his kimono, a bit like he was checking that he was there at all, touching flesh with his bare fingers. He just became physical again, and the memory of not needing this still fresh in his mind. But he pulls his hand out, and in his palm is a pink cherry blossom. And he looks at it confusedly, and then looks to Lumira and Sayre. And then everything begins to filter in around him again. He can feel the Black River breathing and hear these sounds that are like sirens' songs to him, and suddenly he's back in his body. There's no question. He is not a ghost made of dust. He's a young man? No, he's an agent. He closes his hand around the cherry blossom.
Lumira is dead set on the prize. As typical. As usual. Although behind it you can see there's a bit of hesitance, which is very unlike her. For some reason, the presence of the mist is unsettling to her, even as hard as her mask tries to cover. Something about the mist makes her unreasonably uncomfortable, intense, and you can see it.
Sayre doesn't remember exactly what we saw, what we heard, but all he remembers is Lumira being scared. And that centers him a little, that focuses him a little as he steps forward towards Nova, the casino right behind him as a backdrop. Lumira? You okay?
I'm fine.
How did we
Right.
get out here?
I
I
don't
was
know.
hoping one of you had a clue.
I remember walking. I remember... And he takes a deep
were-
breath. The smell of inside?
We were leaving. Wait,
Leaving
Lumira,
where?
are you alright?
I'm fine. Where were we leaving? Asianesh.
We were inside.
inside.
As
There.
you continue to
Zaiden
speak,
looks up to the balcony.
the sequence of events that had just transpired before the mist thickened becomes clearer and clearer. As soon as the mist thinned and deposited you back out here, essentially, you remember, like with crystal clarity, exactly what had led up to this, to you being here. You remember the visions. Zaiden, you remember the ghost realm. Sayur, you remember the crunching of bone underneath your feet. Lumira, you remember the shock of calamity and disaster on Yaolan. You remember the panic flooding in your mouth, as bitter as bile, all of you. And then the mist had thickened, and now you're here. And there are people here. You hear people. This place was empty. It was deserted. It was abandoned. And now there are people? How does this strike all of you?
Zaiden is actually not afraid, even though this place was so empty before. This place being full makes it feel like this is just a mission, but then he remembers what kind of people live here. And that hope of, okay, we can do this. This is normal. I can interface with people. Then he remembers the people, the citizens of the City of Heaven are all gods. And strange things happening with gods strikes him sideways. And he both wants to run forward to the mission, to the inside of this casino, which might be wonderful, but also he wants to run away.
Sayur wants to believe this is a trick. Sayur desperately wants to believe that this is some sort of illusion, some sort of strange magics at play, something of the mystery that we're missing, something he could maybe dismantle. But there are no answers, only broken bone, terrible omens, and now this. With missions, there's usually, even with the Wild Sea, there was a very clear trajectory. There was a clear hunt for what we're looking at. What do you do when you're hunting a shadow? When you're hunting mist? And Sayur feels that need to bring up the structure, the mask that gives him comfort, that reminds him of his beloved sister, that lets him know that everything is okay. And he dons it on and pretends that he is not rattling on the inside, feeling fear coursing through each bone.
What do you do when you're haunting a shadow? How interesting of a sentiment that is. Lumira is lost. Lost in the sense of she doesn't take well from not being the most knowledgeable of things. She doesn't take well to not being the one that can explain everything. And what she saw in that scrying bowl is almost interlaid right on top of this place with, at one point, was empty. Nothing. It was just us, and now it's full of people, but I've seen what is this?
Jolting all three of you out of your introspection, your reverie, is the sound of footsteps. It comes about a block to your east, on the same pavement, on the same street that faces the gambling parlor. And you see coming out of the mist, at first a shadow, and then it takes form. You see a person, a god, in flowing robes with a plain but striking face, dark brown hair, arms full of glittering objects. Even from this distance, you catch golden slices, gems, coins, beautiful fruits and vegetables, and they hustle closer and closer to you, though their eyes aren't fixed on your party. They're fixed on the temple to the right of the gambling house. They go up the ramp and they enter the temple.
I have a question about
Go ahead.
this individual. Do they seem surprised that they're here?
No. They, in fact, look very intentional, like they are going to do something in this temple, and anxiety frets their brow, but they don't look surprised or confused.
Okay. Zynon looks to Seer and Lumira and looks back up to the gambling hall. That place already had answers. We should go in there and talk to the owner, and he points to the balcony. See if we can get more.
Speaking of balcony, Connie,
Oh my god. Okay.
I made a distinct impact on the balcony before. I broke part of the banister.
Mhm.
What does it look like now?
It looks unbroken. The banister
fuck?
itself is whole, like it never happened at all in the first place.
Oh, that's worse. Sayer looks up at the banister and he like narrows his eyes in surprise. I thought, oh. Is Goose with us? Or is it just the three of us? That's actually another question I have. Is Goose here?
Goose is not here.
Where's my
Nope,
goose?
there's no
Wait,
or
we lost
tugging
the
at
goose.
hems. Goose is not here.
Wildly enough, that's not Lumira's concern. So you said that banister is not broken
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
Lumira's seen a lot of wild and just unhinged shit. Does this reek of anything similar to her? And when I say that, I mean, as someone who I feel like magic, different traces of magic leaves a different scent, a different trail, if that makes any sense. Is there anything that reigns similar to her, whether it be like conjurative, healing, mending magic, or anything like her specific spice that she's learning now, anything chronergy wise? Like,
I'm gonna need you to gaze into the mist for answers or signs. Describe what you're looking for. I think you just did. Traces of magic similar to yours. Roll 2d6 plus tags.
okay. So I'm going to attempt diagnoses again, as well as forbidden knowledge.
Okay.
Ooh.
If I may. So that'll be 2d6 plus 2.
Sure. Do you also want to invoke control of time or flashes of history? I think either of these could work.
I think control of time probably would be kind of on what's happening.
That makes
I want
sense.
to see what happens. Not exactly what is the result of it, but what was the lead up to it? Who cast it, if anything?
Sure. I also need to invoke the weakness tag. Doesn't understand its power, so you don't
That's
really know
fine.
what you're tampering with.
Okay.
Chronergy is still new to you.
So
In total, that's a
2d6,
+2.
2 minus
Correct.
1. Okay. 9.
On a 7 to 9, the mist provides muddled and disturbing visions. So pick 2 attributes from the following list, and the GM will describe what omens bloom from them. A color, a shape, a number, a sound, or an emotion. Pick 2.
I would like a sound, especially
Okay.
since we're coming in a place where there wasn't people before, so a sound would be pretty helpful, I think. And let's do an emotion too. Anything in relation to the sound of an emotion, I think would be smart.
Okay. As you fixate your gaze on the not broken banister of the balcony, you squint your eyes up above and you feel yourself as though you were tumbling forward into the mist. That balcony becomes bigger and bigger in your mind, and then a white fog washes over you as you're gazing into the magic of this place, trying to draw on any strands of fog that resonate and echo within your own soul. You try to hear something, anything. The noise of people laughing and shouting from inside the gambling parlor drops out. The noise of the gods' whispered prayer from inside the temple also vanishes. Even the noise of the rest of your strike team leaves you behind until there is nothing but the rather water-like, wind-like, earth-like, fire-like, steel-like whooshing of the mist. It's just mist. As for the emotion that rises inside you, it's fascinating. You feel this mist as though it wants? The mist wants. No, you want, so the mist wants. No, it's hard to tell where your feelings and the mist's feelings begin and end and separate. Perhaps they're related? Either way, as you stagger out of this vision and the fog disperses, you're left with a conclusion. Time moves strangely here. Slowly. Maybe it's even stopped? But this place isn't quite a liminal. There's no liminal here. There's no person controlling this? Or is there? It's so hard to tell. It's both similar to the chronergy you can do, as in it's affecting time, but it's also different. Because there's no one sorcerer or anything like that. Something's off about it. With a 7 to 9, you don't get clear answers. Zynon and Sayer, as Lumira zones out, looking up at the balcony, the two of you hear the god's voice inside the temple ringing out onto the street. They're not praying very quietly. They seem to want their prayers to be heard, as though that would make them be fulfilled. And you hear them say, "Please, offer me safety from the monsters. Offer me protection from the devoured. You can have this incense. You can have everything I won from the no regrets. Just protect me from the monsters. Protect me from the devoured. Please." And then the doors to the gambling parlor open and someone gets tossed out onto the street by these two burly-looking enforcers. They tumble onto the ramp and they roll all the way to the edge of the canal, but they don't fall in. They kind of like, oh, cheeks flushed with wine.
Having seen that before, Zynon, even though he was distracted from the prayers, just takes a step to the side to avoid a ghost version / the real god rolling out.
What's interesting about that, Zynon, is what happens here doesn't feel like it's already happened or like it's an after image or a premonition of what you saw. This just seems to happen quite frequently at this casino. In fact, you see the two enforcers reach behind them and throw someone else out who falls down, and a bunch of coins go flying everywhere. And one of the enforcers says, "And leave your fake merits behind!"
I think Sayer wants to go and listen to more prayers. That's what he wants to do. He wants to pay attention. He wants to listen. He wants to know What? The devour? That's strange. Monsters. That's maybe something dangerous, something to hunt, a direction. But these two folks just got thrown out. And she would talk to them, pry for information. And so he resists that instinct. He has a foot forward.
Zynon also
Sighs.
steps forward towards the fallen gods. A hand
and
out.
He and Sayre will go to the other to help pick them up, and he'll say, in a pitch not his own, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, you extend your hand to, let's say, the first god that fell down. They greedily take your hands, or rather, desperately. Like, they're a little bleary. They're definitely drunk.
Okay.
Oh,
All right,
thank
there
you,
we go.
thank you. Yes, I'm fine, but I'm telling you. And they turn to their companion, who grabs onto Zynon's robes, not very humbly or with any amount of dignity or anything, just grab onto you and, like, pull herself up. You stop talking about that, Senwen. You just shut up, okay? If it weren't my fake mirrors that got us kicked out, it was your rambling. No one wants to hear about that in the gambling parlor. Ugh, well, that's what everyone's talking about in the gambling parlor anyway. It's not my fault. I was just yelling about it at the top of my lungs. There's something in there. There's something in the mist. Shut it.
What do you think's in the mist?
And both of them turn onto you, and this person, Senwen, says, "There's a beast. No, a monster." And they run up to you and grab the front of your kimono.
Ah.
And this other person says, yeah, don't get him started. But Senwen continues, "I heard it with my own two ears right over here. Sounded like someone talking. I couldn't make out what they were saying. It was too freaky. You know what I mean? I had to hit it, had to leave, had to go. It felt bad, felt ominous."
What kind of voice is it? Is it?
A voice.
I know you didn't
a voice
get any
is
words.
voice. Haven't you heard a voice before in your life? There's one coming out of my mouth right now, just like this. But I couldn't make out the words, you see. All I know was it was calling like it was calling me. I told you, don't say such things. I'm so sorry about my brother. He's a lout, that's what he
worry.
is.
Zynon says that having taken a full appraisal of both of these individuals, and I'm curious, when helping them up, would I have been able to have grabbed one of these merits that went falling out of their pocket?
Oh my fucking god!
I need you,
Damn it, Kai.
just for fun, to sneak. So when you employ
In the
trickery to see
meantime,
subterfuge,
Fantastic!
Yes,
I'm going to hinder
Zynon's
this.
doing
Okay.
Zynon shit.
PvP, let's go!
I'm gonna fucking
No.
hinder this. Yes.
I want to hear from Lumira first,
would
and then we'll go back to the
Yeah,
snake.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Lumira.
While they're doing the he-him thing, I'm going to affectionate. He-him affectionate. I'm going to something seems I don't know if whether channel my power or gaze into the mist would be
Just tell me what
another-
you're trying to do, and I'll let you know which move fits.
So he was talking about there's something that just doesn't feel right. And there's a lot here that doesn't feel right to Lumira. Like the mist and the fact that this is supposed to be a town or a city full of gods and there's absolutely like no one here. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing people here. 2 + 2 isn't equaling 4 for her. And it's really starting to grate.
So
At
what would you
her.
like to do about it?
I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, I guess maybe gaze into the mist would be another thing too, because I don't
So
know
what
else.
action are you trying to take in order to figure out what's going on?
I want to attempt to. I guess I'm trying to see or be in his shoes when he was experiencing what he was experiencing.
Be in the in the guy that's rambling's shoes?
Yeah. I
Okay.
want to try to see
Yes.
what it was that he was seeing, feel what it was that he was
Sure.
feeling at that same time, to try
Absolutely.
to see if I can make sense of what it is he's talking about.
So how do you anchor yourself to him?
Mm. I will walk up to him, not stepping into his space directly or making any type of physical contact. But I will look him directly into the eyes, genuinely, and say, I know what it is like to experience something that is well beyond your understanding. And it caused the destruction of everything you know and love around you, beyond you, in front of you. But what you say makes I need to know what you know. See what you see.
You're asking him for permission, or do you just do it?
Yeah, no, I'm asking him for permission, absolutely. And I then I step just a tad bit closer. I am still learning, but I think I can connect the dots. With your permission, please. And Lumira will hold her hand out.
Connect the dots. He turns his gaze away from Zynon and Sayir and at you, creating a golden opportunity for Zynon to reach into his sister's pockets. His sister also turns to look at you, Lumira. He looks down at your hand, looks back up at you, and his cheeks flush with something more than wine. Yeah.
Your permission,
Anything.
please.
Yeah, anything for a pretty lady, yeah. And he reaches his hand forward and puts it into your palm, and the god opens himself up to you. So I need you to channel your power. I'm going to say a tag that works really well is Flashes of History. Think about other tags you'd like to use. In the meantime, Zynon,
Hello.
you're trying to take a few merits from this other person who hasn't been named yet, this Senwin's sister. Sayir, you're trying to hinder him?
I am trying to hinder him, but not in the way that Sayre necessarily has picked up on Zynon's thievery, but specifically that Sayre catches that sibling relationship and a protective sister protecting a rambling brother, and his heart softens a little bit at the sight. And hearing all of Lumira's things has begun to unsettle him. So, as rights to both Connie, my GM, and to Kai, who is playing Zynon, I will hinder Kai by talking about the fact that Sayre understands what it's like to have a sibling that troubles you. And rights for Connie, Sayre's lowering his guard, and the mask is not fully up. And I think hearing Lumira's whole thing about seeing things that don't make sense opens him up to an aspect of himself that he is keeping away, but is left unguarded at the moment. So I think he leans forward towards, remind me again of our lovely rambling friend's name.
Senwin.
He reaches out to Senwin's sister, and it's just like, I get it. I completely understand what it's like to have a sibling that maybe causes far more trouble than you'd necessarily want in situations. I get it, but maybe they know something. Maybe there's something they want to speak to, but they don't have the words to say. It's a feeling. It's a thing that sits in bones and whispers, voice. It's something, an instinct.
Senwin's always been so loudmouthed and brash and fond of spinning tall tales, you know, even when we both sprang out of the mist. Well, not this mist, the mist before it got so thick, you know? What, 500, 600 years ago now? I've always had to make sure that he doesn't get himself in more trouble than he's worth. But you do detect a undercurrent of affection from this sister. So, Sayer, I need you to roll 2d6 plus number of hurt points against Zynon.
I have 1. So it's 2d6 plus 1. Oh, I love having rights. That's exactly a 7.
Okay, that is a mixed success. That means you get in their way for a moment, but they maneuver past you. So there's no mechanical boon or detriment here. So Zynon, how does Sayer's attempt to maybe guilt you a little or throw you off your game register on you, and what do you do about it?
I think Zynon, like, his full intention was to, like, check out one of these merits, and so he's thinking, I can do this. I've lifted plenty of things in my life, and he goes to do this very smoothly and quietly while all this other stuff is going on. And then Sayer starts to talk about Sing, and it's like getting punched. And the memory of trying to be a mentor, trying to be someone worth leading somebody towards at least the right direction, towards her destiny, hurts. And his mask, his very thin mask, doesn't stop his face from falling. The clever people that he learned to do all of this from aren't in the present with him. So for whatever action, even though there's no hurt point, I will invoke a weakness tag, a thin mask.
Excellent. I love that for you. So you can mark attention on the theme card that a weak mask belongs to. And if we hit 3 attention on any theme card, you get to take an advancement. But that's for later. So Zynon, what's the total bonus? What other power tags are you using?
Resourceful criminal, roguishly charming, and they're 2
Jesus
different ones.
Christ.
And a student of those before. So basically all of the ones from that tag that also has a thin mask.
I see. So that's a +2 total because we're taking the -1 against the +3.
Yep. +2. Oh, good. 8.
Okay, that does bump it up to a hit. So on a 7 to 9, you're compromised in some way as you attempt to pocket a coin or 2. A single person notices you. You leave crucial evidence behind, or you stumble upon an immediate threat.
I swear to
I think
God.
it's funny if it's the first one. I think a single person should notice me because I think that's fun.
Okay. How many are you trying to pocket?
He just wants to look at one. He's not trying to, like, get a fistful.
Okay, you're able to easily do that. You just, like, kind of take one of the merits, and it feels cold and light between your fingers. They look like coins, but something about them, they make a sound. As you rub your thumbs against it, it almost sounds like they're singing. A kind of mystical, magical sound. These aren't just coins. They're the embodiment of divine favors. This appears to be the currency of the city of heaven. As for a single person notices you, I'm going to take GM rights here and get to that, interpret it interestingly, and get to it after we resolve what's happening with Lumira. So Lumira, what tags are you channeling? And what are you getting on your 2d6?
I want to so bad be the one who notices, but I'm gonna let that be to you, GM, the almighty Connie. But God, I want to so bad. Because follow me. So this is what I want to do. I want to use... first, I have a question. Can I use 2 tags from the same...
Theme book? Theme card?
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what Zynon did.
Okay, cool. All right, so I want to use... Bear with me. You let me know if you think this is right or not. I want to use Control of Time, Flashes of History, and Creating Liminals.
I don't think creating liminals.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
here.
didn't mean Creating Liminals. I meant Shielded by Time. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that. I think all 3 would work.
That was what I meant to use, not Creating Liminals. Shielded by Time was what I wanted to use. Control of Time, Flashes of History, and Shielded by Time.
Yes. Why don't you do all 3? And I'm not going to invoke any weakness tags here, actually. Go for it.
2d6 plus 3. Okay. Hey, don't fuck me. Thanks. Thanks. Thank you. 11.
Okay, that is a full hit. So on a 10 plus, the effect is exactly as intended. As soon as this god places his hand in your palm, the mist thickens around your eyes once more, filling into your consciousness like thick reams of fog. And when it thins again, you're not in your own body, you're in his, as he's drunkenly trying to focus on the memory that he's trying to show you here. You hear his footsteps clattering over pavement, and you feel himself swaying. He's drunk in this memory as well, and his mind is full of worries. With a 10 plus, you are not just Lumira scrying into his memory and attempting to feel a piece of his past. You are him for all intents and purposes in this moment. His mind is full of worries. Oh, Yang Ning's probably worried about him, out late, gambling again. Oh, the Emperor had just made an announcement about everyone should probably stay indoors and be safe. Oh, but he's never been good being cooped up indoors. He needs to go out. He's gotta let himself out and do stuff. And he wants to maybe be the one to be responsible this time, even though he's not being really responsible right now. And his thoughts are just kind of running into each other, picking up in one place and dropping in another. Not just because he's a bit drunk, but because the anxiety is rising to the surface of his mind and clouding his thoughts, just like the thickness of the mist. And before he knows it, he's stumbled into a part of the city of heaven that is really dense, that has a ton of mist around. He hadn't even realized until he was several fu into it. He pauses, and you see him looking around, right? His vision shaking a little from nerves. And then he freezes as he hears something in the mist. It feels so far away, and yet it also feels like it's right next to him. Something that is familiar, but also not familiar. It is a voice. Yes, a person's voice. And it's saying something he should recognize, but it feels wrong. Is it his name? But it feels twisted. It feels inverted in a way he doesn't like. And because he doesn't like what he heard, he's blocking the memory from being fully accessed. With an 11 plus, it's a mixture of the alcohol and his own. He's refusing to hear it properly. This god is actively choosing to deny what he's heard because he doesn't want to fix it. Whatever the voice said is something he doesn't want to acknowledge. He just knows that it's familiar and maybe reflecting something a little too close to home. And then he turns and stumbles out of the mist. He falls into the canal. Water plumes. He just missteps and bam, complete darkness, wetness, and then you're back in your body.
Do I hear as a third party? Like as someone who can kind of, like, am I someone on the outside that can pierce through that want of them not wanting to hear said truth?
Unfortunately, even with a 10 plus, maybe especially with a 10 plus, you cannot.
Damn.
You are
Okay.
both fully embodied in him, and you also know that this curtain of denial is so strong it would take force to pry open.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So, Zynon, getting back to you. As you pocket this merit and Lumira kind of exits her trance, right? And the god keeps his hand there. Now he's like completely not focused on the mysteries of the mist anymore and just kind of staring at you a little smitten because you are, of course, very pretty, Lumira. Zynon, it feels like you're being looked at. Like there's someone right behind you gazing at you. It's not an ominous kind of being watched, but a curious gaze? A gaze that wants you to turn around.
He does quickly. The moment that he feels eyes on him, that spotter's instinct kicks in, and he turns his head.
And just before the two enforcers start to slide the doors to the gambling parlor shut again, Sing turns and walks deeper into the gambling house, her bright white mane of hair vanishing just as the doors close.
He goes running.
What the
He runs
fuck?
towards those doors. He
Excuse
doesn't say anything. He just starts running.
Okay, Zynon, you book it. You run up the ramp and you grab the doors and you fling them open, I assume, and you just you sprint right in and you find yourself in the gambling house and it's full. It's full of gods, but I don't even think that the shock of seeing people really registers on you. Your eyes are looking for that white mane of hair. You're looking for Sing. You see gods crowded around a craps table. You see gods playing mahjong, playing cards. You see the bar full of gods. There's a smell of alcohol, incense, smoke, merits, money, wine, but you're looking for Sing. Looking, eyes darting. But it's overstimulating. You see flashes of white, but that's someone else's hair. You see another flash of white. Oh, that was someone's braid. That was someone's sash. That was someone's robe. You don't quite see her yet as you stand there. Or again. How are all of you responding to this?
Zynon! Sayer shouts. Because without saying anything, the most senior member of Striking Nova just books it away from us.
Mhm.
And as far as Sayer's concerned, that means something big is happening, clearly. And I think he just spares a single heartbeat looking over towards Lumira and the other two gods that are there, and just quickly apologizes. Sorry, excuse me. And immediately starts like going after Zynon because, of course, Zynon has a reason to book it that way, right? A real
What about you,
reason.
Lumira?
Lumira pinches the space between her eyebrows, the bridge of her nose, and sits there for just a few seconds before Sayer darts off. And she, after a second, stands up from wherever she was at and goes, just clasps her hands together and goes, "While I may carry a pocket watch, I do not have time!" And immediately goes off behind the other two.
Excellent. Lumira and Sayer, as you run up the ramp and follow Zynon into this gambling house, Zynon's not really paying attention to anything but looking for Sing, but the two of you notice that even though this place is full of chattering gods, clearly money and merits being exchanged, the air here is tense. It's cold. Just like outside, it is filled with dread. The fingers that rub mahjong tiles are nervous. The hands that hold their cards are shaking with anxiety and fretfulness. The usual aura of relaxation and indulgence that would be found in a gambling house is nowhere here. Everyone is on edge, and they're trying to pretend like they're not.
Sayer clasps the top of Zynon's shoulder and grips it tight.
He jumps. He whirls around on you, wild-eyed.
Where do you think you are going?
Saw some.
We are
And
here
there
on
is-
a mission. Agent
There's
Ash.
an intensity in his eyes that I don't think you've ever seen before, that he isn't cowed to your strength, Lumira, for once.
A challenge. Accepted.
I
Oh,
saw something. And his sticky fingers, sticky eyes, his desire to unwind, unmake, isn't present. The keen eyes of the mentor of the Chosen One from the Wild Sea, the man that you knew before everything fell apart, is all that stares back at you.
You know, Lumira, she is not cowed. She takes her two gold gilded fingers and places them underneath your chin, making you look directly at her. Agent Ash,
He is looking around and then stops on your eyes.
tell me
I
what
saw
it is you saw.
something. You need to trust me.
Don't make me regret it. And she lets go and gestures for your lead. She'll follow.
He just continues to look. He stops at every white plume, every burst of white hair, every flash of pink that he sees. He stops and he looks.
I think it's the second plume of white hair and pink that you pick up, that you stop for, that clicks to Lumira. In Sayer, you see that same determined focus in Lumira as well, just like Zynon. Zynon, she is now following your every move forward. No more questions from her.
And Sayer's alone again, as he watches both his strike team members search for a shadow, for a light, for dappled sunlight in a darkened room. Do I feel her? Do I see her? This silhouette, this figure that my friends see.
Are you reaching for her, Sayer, intentionally or not? Are you calling for her?
Unintentionally, yes. I think as soon as he sees Lumira's eyes, those heartbroken, pained eyes furrow with determination, that loving fierceness, it clicks for him. They're looking for her.
Sayer, I need you to gaze into the mist.
Well, alright folks. I've avoided this move for a long time.
Do it.
This time.
Do it, please.
Alright, I will gaze into the mist. I will roll
You're
2d6.
looking for Sing, okay?
I am looking for Sing. And I am going to invoke my my Chosen One's Shadow Defining Event tags of the Chosen One. I'm the brother of the Chosen One.
Mm-hmm.
My hollowness, specifically formed from my grief and from the moment that she was killed by that Shadowlands. I've had a hollowness in my soul.
Okay.
Reaching to that. And seeing omens, I think, will be helpful here.
That's 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to invoke 2 weakness tags. It's going to be
Go ahead,
Scares
yeah.
People under Omen Speaker and Weak to Gods under Doom Incarnate.
Hey, what if I just...
Oh, you want to hinder me?
Counterspell! No. you can't do that
Oh,
here.
that's my killer move, but it's okay because I got something similar.
Oh, God.
Yes, Lumira, are you attempting to do something here, or?
Yeah, I think Lumira is a little lost. So yeah, I'm gonna go on ahead and hinder my teammate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hinder me.
How are
Hinder me,
you
Lu-
hindering Sayer, intentionally or not?
Hinder me, Mira. Hinder me.
He sees her.
You say those words, it rings in Sayer's ears. I need you to roll 2d6 plus hurt points. We'll resolve that first.
Wretched.
Oh my god, this is so wretched.
I tried.
Don't mind me as I readjust the arrows in my chest.
Oh my god, what'd you get?
Don't you fucking dare!
Boxcars?
Don't
Boxcars?
you?
Boxcars.
Don't.
Oh, that's 2 6s! That's a full hit. So on a 10 plus,
So 13.
that's wow. On a 10 plus, your intrusion is timely and crucial. They get a -1. So Sayer, that's +0. You're rolling flat. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh no!
What does that mean? Val, what does that mean?
Val, did you do it again?
Did you
Uh-oh,
get
he's hiding.
snake
We
eyes?
only get
What'd you
antlers.
get?
Oh
0?
no!
Wait, what do you mean?
I rolled because you invoked my weakness tags, didn't you?
Yes.
So that, and I was rolling flat because of Lumira. So
Yes.
I rolled a snake eyes 1 and a 1.
You rolled snake eyes!
What's
Okay.
Hey Val, what's
Okay.
wrong with your dice?
Okay. You missed. So what this means is,
Hmm.
Sayer,
Yeah.
as you stand on the threshold of the No Regrets Casino, Lumira's words ringing in your head, unbidden, grasping for Sing. It is not Sing that grasps back, not any of the times you have reached for her in these 2+ months since she's been gone. It's never been Sing that answers back. Nothing's ever answered back, really, and the thing that has tried to answer back, you've pushed down. But now, it is the mist that thickens briefly, but you feel it behind your back at the bottom of the ramp of the No Regrets Casino. You feel it swirling thick, and inside you rises that hunger, that all-consuming hunger you felt when you first set foot on the balcony, that desire for it's not flesh. No, nothing so mundane and pedestrian as flesh. It's not blood, though that's a little bit closer. It's divinity. You hunger for divinity? The flesh of gods. And then you blink and the feeling passes, the mist thins again, moving back to just about a block away, and the 2 enforcers slide the door shut behind you, snapping you back into your body.
You both see it. That wildness in Sayer's eyes, that frightening look of something else lurking deeper within his skin, begging to be unleashed. And he grits his teeth and shakes his head and mumbles to himself, no. Connie, this is a casino, yes?
Yes?
Are there coin machines nearby?
There are.
Sayer, driven by this hunger and disoriented by everything, I would like to go up to the nearest coin machine, punch through the glass, and eat some merits.
Without even looking at Zynon and Lumira, you muscle forward to this row of slots, let's say. Sure, yes, Fantasy China, row of slots. Yes, Chinese fantasy slot machines, let's go for it. You punch it, there's a rattling of coins, and pouring into the slot area, instead of coins, are red X's, overlapping over each other, overflowing, spilling onto your hands like rivers of blood, onto your shoes, and then you blink and it's coins again.
I think Sayer's driven by a hunger that's deeper within him, and he sees those X's, he clears his eyes, and he picks up a merit, and he hears that thrumming, that song. Divinity, grants it in a tiny little chip and devours it. And he throws it in like it's a chip.
You start eating merits. You throw one into your mouth. You chew. It's hard, but then it softens. It cracks against your teeth, and your teeth crack it, and then it breaks open, and you feel a little burst. A little burst, not of divinity. It's not. This isn't a god. This coin isn't a deity, but it's something kind of close. It's a way to track progress, track how you're doing, track rank. That's a little adjacent. It's like eating the stems, the unedible stems of a plant you really want, but not the plant itself. And you bite, it's a little bit, you chew, you swallow, and it feels like molten gold going down your throat, and it sings all the way down. And now everyone is starting to stare.
When I did this, I didn't think it was gonna backfire in my face.
Oh. I think the loud crashing sound draws Zainan's attention for as frantic as he is looking for Sing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. He stops and turns because he also cares about the Chosen One's sibling. He also cares about the chronologist, the healer, and so he looks and spots Lumira close enough to have spoken to Sarah, and the wake of coins and the eating, and over the crowd, Zainan yells, "Sarah!"
And I think Sarah bites down on his thumb, as if like preventing himself from taking another fistful of coins and chomping on that.
Lumira feels kind of bad.
And sense returns into his head.
Lumira feels a little bad because I think, but I don't think she didn't think that invoking Sing would have had that impact on you. So she sees that, like, that stumble and walks up to you, gently placing her hand on your cheek. Mission.
And you
Mission.
sense that wide-eyed, like cornered animal look in Sayer's eyes. His tail is swinging wildly against the mountain of coins behind him. The bangles at the end of his tail clanking with each metal piece that has fallen out of this machine. And as it finally slows and the clanging lowers, his pupils reduce in size, and he looks at you. It's you, his gravity, his foundation, his anchor.
Mission. Her fingers like slip into the back of those Superman curls just a little bit. And it's like, mission.
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 And Sayer realizes that he's let it go. He's let the mask go. The thing that's within him is crawling out, and he stamps it down. Yeah. Mission. Mission.
Her eyebrow quirks a bit, noticing you changing gears. But repeats it
Sorry.
one more time.
Sorry, I was
Don't be sorry, act.
just hungry. And he
Lunches later.
steps up. He nods, ignores the allure of the merits, the allure and the smell of the gods, and focuses and attempts to... I'm gonna be seen. I'm a big guy, and I just made a big scene. So I'm just sitting there kind of like dusting his sash off and his veshti, and he just stands there like, sorry.
You
Carry-
flash a
carry
thumbs
on.
up.
My eyes,
God's staring
when you
at
go sorry, my eyes immediately shoot to Zainan like,
Sorry.
look out.
Please carry on with your gambling.
Connie, is that shorter,
I will write the
silver-haired
machine.
person here?
So, you're kind of back in your body, Sayer, but it's too late. You have caused too much of a scene. All three of you are implicated. Everyone is staring. It is obvious you do not belong. That's what everyone in here is getting. Maybe you could have stealthed your way through this. Maybe you could have blended in, but the things you're doing, everyone's looking. People are whispering. And now you hear like a birth has been given to your party. People have moved away and formed a big ring of sorts around you. You hear whispers go, who are they? Are they gods? No. They look like cultivators. I don't feel divinity from them. Yes, but which god called them here? Do you know? No. Do you know? No. Do you know? And everyone's trying to figure out who you are, who called you here, what kind of cultivators would do this. And Zynon, as you cast your gaze around for that white-haired person, you see them. The balcony. The interior balcony here looks over this huge atrium, this lobby, and they are standing several dozen boo above your heads at a slant at the edge of that railing. And they are not alone. Next to them is that other person you saw from your vision, that fierce woman standing head and shoulders above her peers, even here, magnetic crimson eyes. They kind of look like a duo of a bright white feathered bird next to a blazing phoenix. The first person is much slighter, shorter, that shock of white hair, and you see that snake coiled around their shoulders atop their pure obsidian black robes. It's moving, and it's waxing its head from left to right, a pink tongue darting in and out, its slitted eyes blinking just like the slitted eyes of its owner. And the taller, bigger, fiercer woman in those pure vermilion robes. She lifts her head, looks down with that handsome, cutting face, those passionate, bright red eyes, that short black hair slicked up and out of her cunning, sharp expression, and she says, just in time for me to present the Emperor with 3 wrongdoing, mess-causing interlopers, I think. She raises a hand and draws a lazy circle with her finger, and she says, sink. And fire, a ring of it, erupts around your party like a hoop, and then the floor falls out from underneath you, and you go tumbling. And we're going to take a break there. So thank you all so much.
I knew you were gonna fucking do this shit, Cuddy. You do it all the time. I'm sorry.
It's a bit me, Evil GM Connie. What a chaotic first half. I've been your GM and creative producer. We're going to be back in just about 10 minutes. So if you're on the Twitch stream, enjoy the fan art reel, enjoy the sponsor ads. If you're on TikTok, unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to roll those things right now. We're working on that though. If you want to learn more about Transplanar, go to the link in our bio, transplanarrpg.com, or hop over to the Twitch chat to be able to have more interactive elements than we even do right here. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Sit tight, tell your friends about us, and Happy New Year so far. Bisho. there, Transplay Nerds! Are you looking for high-quality fantasy maps for your next tabletop campaign? Cheipeku has you covered. Get your hands on more than 4,000 hand-drawn fantasy maps and battle maps that will take your campaign sessions to the next level. Che and Peku are a couple who love maps. That's their passion, and they're so good at it. They create unique and original worlds with outlandish themes and ideas you won't find anywhere else. Cheipeku maps have the imagination to match yours. Cheipeku's archive has more than 4,000 original hand-drawn maps, with map packs added every week that include variations for seasons, weather effects, and even time of day. So if your players spend the entire session in a tavern role-playing with NPCs, you can seamlessly switch to nighttime. Cheipeku even offers fully mapped multi-level dungeons, animated maps with cool terrain effects, and seamless integration with the most popular virtual tabletops out there, including Alchemy RPG, Roll20, Foundry VTT, Encounter Plus, Fantasy Grounds, and more. Their maps even come with wall and lighting effects for Foundry VTT, letting you plug and play as quickly as possible. If this sounds appealing to you, because I know it sounds appealing to me, head over to Cheipeku's Patreon today and get access to their full archive of over 4,000 maps for as little as $5 a week. Use !Cheipeku in chat to get a link to their Patreon and tell them Transplaner sent you. Hello, folks, and welcome back to Part 2 of Arc 2, Episode 9 and 10 of the Chaos Protocol, Arc number 2. Getting right back into it, just as a reminder, one of our incredible sponsors for Arc 2 is Cheipeku. They're an incredible company. They're map makers. They create these beautiful, unique, imaginative maps and scenes, which you can see in the background as we're playing Arc 2. They also have various variations for each of their maps and scenes, including stuff for weather effects, time of day, seasons, and VTT integrations. They are highly worth it. I definitely recommend checking them out. Just go to cheipeku.com to learn more. You can pledge to their Patreon today for as little as $1 per map pack, or I believe $5 per scene in order to unlock these incredible features. And by supporting our sponsors, you help support us in turn, because it shows them that supporting us is worth it. Outside of that, some content warnings before we hop right back into the session. Just as a reminder, the Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. So content warnings for this session may include fantasy violence, grief, trauma, memory loss, depictions of heights and falling, complex and complicated relationships, visions, romance, guns as weaponry, alcohol and drug use, and mentions of death of loved ones and family. So if you're in the Twitch chat, use !CW to get a look at our content warnings at any time. And if you are on TikTok to learn more about our show, go to the link in my bio and keep tapping those hearts. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. Whew, we got boxcars and snake eyes in part 1. Let's hope for more chaos in part 2. Let's begin. Strike Team Nova. You are falling. You are tumbling. You are dropping. You are flying, falling, soaring through the air, swaddled in mist, lit by darkened light, the entire city of heaven fanning out beneath you. That's right. You are falling directly above the Heavenly Palace, the crown jewel of this plane. It is the golden, beating heart in the center of the city of heaven, whence all waters flow, all fires blaze, all earth rises, and all steel bends. A dazzling palatial complex stands atop the largest peak in all of heaven, a city within a city filled with more courtyards and buildings and imperial halls than your eyes can count, far above it. On the outskirts of this palace, we see the Azure complex, like a sapphire forest surrounding a golden glen. We now push past the first major gate of the palace, as tall as thunder and bright as lightning, to find ourselves in sweeping streets paved with jade and opal, lined by royal halls the color of sunset. We push past the second major gate, as bitter as storm and sweet as rain, to find blooming courtyards filled with magical fruits, oranges of wisdom, lychees of joy, peaches of immortality. We push past the third major gate, as red as blood and white as bone, to find rolling hills teeming with divine beasts that frolic and herd and drink from silver rivers. We push past the fourth major gate, as rich as smoke and light as tea, to find, finally, the Hall of Peerless Destiny, which all three of you land directly in front of, unharmed, but winded and breathless. As you fall hard onto whatever body part that you please, you see that the Hall of Peerless Destiny is clearly the largest hall in the entire Imperial Palace, which means it is the throne room. And it is the primary place of assembly for the city's gods, when divine affairs concern all. It is a massive building in front of your eyes. It is as long as a dragon. Jade pillars, the size of ancient trees, rise to support heavy, multi-tiered roofs of pure gold. Even in this endless eventide, the tiles glimmer like the promise of sunrise. An alabaster ramp, which you find yourselves at the bottom of, leads up into the depths of the hall, lined with mighty brass cisterns with handles as wide as a god's torso. Through all of the gates, past all of the treasures, the divine detailing of this magnificent palace, all of you notice one constant. that thick, ever-present mist. As you gather your bearings, having been dropped here from dazzling heights, the wind literally knocked out of your lungs, and start to come back to your bodies, you notice teleporting onto the ramp, onto the threshold of the hall behind you, walking up into this gathering place are gods. The gods of the city, some of them you recognize from the gambling house, others look completely unfamiliar to you. Most of them just walk right past you, even though you look winded. They're chattering amongst each other, and they are filtering into the hall. What do the three of you do?
Lumira stops. Lumira looks at Zynon when he asks, her eyes glimmering a reflective, are you seriously asking me this question right now? And she digs in the pockets of her robe and pops out 2 pieces of her stabilizing gum. Eat.
Yes, ma'am.
Thayer picks up the gum, puts it into his mouth, and starts chewing. Connie, how hungry am I?
Stuffing the merits in your mouth, chewing them, and attempting to swallow had taken the edge off of that hunger, but it's still there in the pit of your stomach, growing, gnawing at you.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, once I see them both chew the gum, I would like to attempt to heal any ailments that are there. Now, Connie, please feel free to let me know if this is something that you think would be outside my capabilities, but I think at this point, I believe Lumira at this point could actively work at healing 2 people at one time.
So before you even start to tap into your body to draw upon healing energy, just looking at them, they look a little winded, like you might after falling for several minutes, but they're unharmed, and you as well. Whatever magic brought you here did not seek to hurt you.
Okay.
Also, you'd have to catch Zynon because he starts to look around, and he is actually trying to soak in the gods that are coming in, the place that we are, and listening to why we're here, listening for any kind of information about what's going on, and why are there so many gods? What is going on?
Good question. As you start to gather your bearings, looking around, trying to listen, figure out what's occurring, there is another tensing of magic, of energy, much closer to the 3 of you than most of these other gods. And appearing in a flurry of fire that briefly takes all 3 of you back to the Wild Sea before you realize it's a different kind of fire entirely. It's passionate and it's warm, and also a flurry of mist. Is that woman. That woman with the fiery crimson eyes, 6'4", vermilion robes, a magnetic gaze, a cutting, handsome face. As she walks towards your party, you see that her footsteps leave fiery after images in their wake, as though she were walking across a bed of hot coals. And even as other gods teleport in, a lot of them pause as they see her and kind of lean toward her, not daring to accost her, but they're whispering now, not amongst themselves, but about her. They look eager, they look flustered. You see divines with flushed cheeks as she approaches you, that they're desperately trying to hide behind sleeves and fans. You also see deities with sour looks, crossed arms, scorned expressions. Those looks are particularly familiar to you, Zynon. But no matter how this woman is received, whether it's with giggles or glares, she takes it all in with the tiniest of wolfish smiles on her sharp, masculine face. She stops before your party as she... Thorst. She holds herself like a heartbreak that's about to happen. Heartbreak that you will gladly thank her for on your knees. And this woman, Zynon, you recognize her from your vision, of course. She crosses her arms in front of her chest, looks down at each of you, and says, Fascinating. So tell me, who sent the three of you? Was it the demons? Is that why all this is happening? Are they in charge? I had a feeling. That or the second devouring.
Maybe it was you.
Neither.
Xiao
Me?
Cheng sent us.
Xiao Cheng. And a kind of that wolfish smile had spread Lumira when he said that, and it looked like she was going to rejoin what you said with a kind of witty, almost flirtatious repartee, but then it freezes as Sayer speaks. And once again, Lumira, Sayer ruins everything. She looks back at the Chosen One's brother, the former Chosen One's brother. And she says, "What are you talking about? Xiao Cheng was the first taken.
What?
How were they taken? Into
It
the
was
mist?
a
Are you from the
story.
mist?"
It was
How
a story
long
that we
ago
heard.
was that?
It was a story that was heard.
Their eyes flick between you, Lumira, and Zynon, who had started talking, and Sayer, who had also started talking. Did either of the hims chime in to say anything else, or do you let Lumira take the lead?
We're gonna
I
let.
think Zynon lets the question hang from Lumira, or lets the statement hang from Lumira, and says it again. Because now he's got his teeth in something. And he's not
Lumira takes
hungry
a
for
step back.
divinity. But there's a lead here that he feels like he can chase. How long ago did Xiao Cheng vanish into the mist?
Oh, how long ago? Time is funny nowadays, isn't it?
Yes.
Slow, sluggish, like congee that hasn't quite congealed yet. If you asked me, which you are, I would estimate somewhere between 2 nights ago. But ask someone else like our hawkish companion back there who's pretending like they're not watching, and you notice that Lang Hui has also teleported onto the ramp here. They're not entering the hall like most of the gods are, but they're hanging back and watching this discussion unfold with sharp eyes, snake-like eyes, just like the eyes of their actual serpent. They don't dignify what this woman says with a response. They just cock an eyebrow and continue to watch. And Drooling returns to speaking. She might say something like, perhaps a week, maybe something a little bit more precise, a little bit more conservative, as is her usual modus operandi. She's not one for overestimating her capabilities. But I'm a bit more confident than that. So I'll say a few days.
And how has the Emperor gotten by without her trusted courtier of the four
Oh,
directions?
the immortal emperor is of course still the immortal emperor. She can do very many things that are beyond our capabilities. Though I do admit the absence of the courtier has made certain administrative tasks a little bit more bothersome. I believe the head administrator has had to shoulder a lot of the details that usually Xiao Cheng handles. I'm not usually privy to such menial contents, though. But as you were saying, and Drooling turns to you, Lumira, because indeed, it's quite obvious by now who this is. This is Yen Drooling, for sure. There is no mistaking it. The gentlewoman scholar of the Vermilion Library. You said something about rumors?
I have this innate ability to be able to tell someone who is very well read. And I think you understand more than anything else here the importance of oral history and how that continues on throughout the course of history.
Well, of course. There are many rumors that abound, rumors of monsters lurking in the mist, rumors of this being signs that there's a second devouring, which at first I laughed off, now I'm not. So, sure. Rumors of
I'm
Xiao
eager
Cheng
to
being the
pick
first.
your brain.
Well, normally I would say, here's the address to my boudoir if you're so interested, but the Emperor has called upon their drum master to bang on the assembly drum, and so we must answer. Still, that
Why
doesn't
bring us?
address my
Bang
original
on the drum we
question.
must.
What did bring the three of you here, if not the courtier?
Sayer looks at the other two. There's a glaze over his eye. He looks tired. Sayer rarely feels or looks this way. He's agile, he's alert, but he looks exhausted as he continues to chew on this chewing gum in his mouth. And he looks up at Zhiling and contemplates his next words carefully because it seems that Nova is going in a certain direction with this. There's something strange about this mist. A feeling of trepidation, dread, as he keeps like chewing. Each word is parsed through deep chews of the gum, enunciating each sound. We are uncertain why Xiao Cheng is not amongst you. Picking his words a little carefully, because he still wants to figure something out here.
You speak as though your party is not one of us, not part of the City of Heaven.
We just arrived.
We just got here.
Are you all cultivators?
Yeah.
Juling's eyebrows raise, and then she laughs. Not for 1,000 years I haven't been a cultivator. So that's what the three of you are, cultivators, of course. Fresh arrivals, well, I must apologize for the state of our city. This mist is not usually so dense, usually so heavy with dread. It's precisely why the Emperor has halted her pronouncement for the position of virtue.
Just dread. There's nothing else different about the mist. Something that might give you glimmers of other things.
Now this is interesting. How about we play a little game before the assembly drum is beat once more and we must go inside. I answer your question, you answer mine. Back and forth, give and take. That's how every relationship must go. Do you not agree?
I do.
I do.
I've already addressed one of your concerns, and she nods towards Sayer. So before I answer your question, why don't you answer mine? What exactly is your interest or relationship with Xiao Cheng?
We were called. Let's say it was serendipity that brought us here.
Fascinating. You mean to say that the courtier of the four symbols called for 3 cultivators to come to heaven shortly before the mist rolled in?
What I'm saying is that the courtier maybe had wishes of their own that possibly felt or was endearment to loneliness or wanting someone else to be here and the lack of everyone else being gone and wanted a friend. We just so happened to show up.
What do you mean everyone else being gone? Everyone's still here. Xiao Cheng is the one that's missing, among 3 other people.
Lumira
You said
staggers back, just subtly, just a little bit.
You said time is working different. And my fellow cultivator here is quite skilled in the passage and unpassage of time, so you'll have to forgive her inconsistency. We arrived before and during the mist.
Lumira looks at that for a second and is like, for a second, she like is gleeful in it. Like, yes, I do understand and know that. But after a second, it's like, wait a fucking second. Like, it almost is kind of like she reads it as like, at first it's a compliment and then she reads into it and then it feels like a backhanded compliment.
Sayer hears this and there's some energy that's happening in this discussion right now. He's feeling a little hungry. So Sayer's on edge. His tail is moving and swift waving wildly behind him as he kind of adjusts his sash across his torso. You said Xiaocheng was the first to be taken, right?
Yes.
And he dons the mask again, and to Zhiling, this is interesting because she just saw a tired man now putting on the face of an excitable youth, and he kind of like steps forward towards Zhiling. He is a good several inches shorter than her, and kind of like looks up at her with these brighter eyes, still dimmed with exhaustion, and he just says, "You said Xiaocheng was the first to be taken. We have been called by Xiaocheng. Perhaps being taken is not the correct thing that's happened. Maybe there's more to this mist and scenario that is at play. Maybe Xiaocheng is around, right?"
If the courtier of four symbols were around, and they haven't been found in the few days, week or so since the mist has thickened, but you are right, young cultivator. This mist is different from how it usually is. It's thicker even than the regular night mists that we're used to. As for your question, don't ever say I'm not a woman of my word. Circling back to you, and she inclines her head at you, Zynon. I will answer it in front of everyone else. As the steward of the Vermilion Library, I am the owner and proud purveyor of many secret tomes, many of which contain information about the mist, its magics, its histories, and its relationship to us, the gods. I've spent a lot of time in the deepest stacks of my archives, combing through them for answers, and I have some interesting details that I'd like to share, not just to you, but to everyone in our fine city. So I hope you don't mind waiting for me to answer in front of the Emperor and the rest of the city.
Lumira
No.
cozies a bit on up to them. Just
And Sayer's excited
Just-
face drops for a moment.
a little bit more. You say the largest library. You have access to all sorts of information, yes?
Yes. Well, I never mentioned its size, I don't think. But, regardless,
Size
it's
doesn't
full
matter
of
to
is-
me,
no.
darling.
She smiles and sizes you up, looking you up and down, and it seems Drooling likes what she sees. You do strike me as an academic, as an intellectual. You are
You
more
have
than
no
welcome in the
idea.
Vermilion Stacks.
I appreciate anyone that appreciates knowledge. Now, my friends are not as receptive as I am to someone of your capabilities. Maybe we can figure out something that works for both of us. Yes?
So what is it that you wish to have from me? Access to my library?
Yes.
After the assembly, find me on the peaks. Find me in the Vermilion Stacks.
Duly noted.
We'll keep talking there. Perhaps
Yeah.
we could come to some sort of mutually agreeable arrangement.
I think that will work best for the both of us. And Lumira will reach her hand out and
For a handshake?
yeah.
Yeah. Drooling reaches forward, takes your hand, and turns it gently, leans in, and places a kiss upon your fingers as though you were a princess.
Thank you for your generosity, Drilling.
Her mouth stays for a beat too long on Lumira's hand, and then she pulls away and looks at you, Sayer. Any suspicion she had earlier about the three of you, any sort of, wariness is gone. It seems she accepts that you are cultivators who came perhaps right before whatever this is, this thick mist rolled in, and Xiao Cheng apparently vanished. And she seems to sense some sort of truth in your words about also wanting to find out what's going on.
Thank you for your kind offer and generosity. We'll be sure to meet up with you soon. Yes.
Well,
Lumira.
and not a moment too late. Drilling looks back at you with a smile.
Lumira curtsies, just so subtly, just a little bit.
Honored to make your acquaintance, Lumira, and the two of you are.
Zanin.
My name is Sayer.
Zainin and Seer. Well, I am Yen Druling. They call me the Gentlewoman Scholar in the City of Heaven. Oh, and not a moment too late. And all of you hear drum beats sounding from deep within the hall in front of you. Drum beats that are as loud as thunder, that you're sure every person in the City of Heaven would be able to hear, and yet it doesn't hurt your eardrums. It feels very magically carried out, so all gods are aware that an assembly is occurring. Drooling casts one final wolfish smile at your party, her crimson eyes lingering a touch longer on Lumira than the rest of you, though she does also smile judiciously at Zainin and Sayer. And she turns, those vermilion robes flapping around her shins, and she starts striding up the ramp in toward the hall, leaving fiery footsteps in her wake. All other gods who have remained outside, lingering, talking in clusters of groups, also begin to filter in.
Lumira turns sharply and looks at the rest of Nova. It's a very interesting air about her, something that hasn't necessarily been there before. And she looks the both of you square in the eyes. You find your way? And she looks at Zainin, and then she looks at Sayer more pointedly. I find mine. Yes.
So long as we stay on the mission.
And
Speaking of, there's a lot of gods here for this Mayday protocol.
Exactly.
and,
Stay on
and
your
they're all-
toes.
and they're all here, but Xiao Cheng is missing.
Yeah.
And I think he pauses for a moment, and I think he catches Lumira's pointed look, casts his gaze away in typical Sayer fashion, and clears his throat. I don't want to be the one to say this. We can start walking, but slowly, perhaps, alongside the gods
Walk
to
and
not
talk.
arouse suspicion. Walk and talk, requesting sidebar. Yeah.
Requesting sidebar.
Really, La Boy? Requesting sidebar? Go on.
We're requesting
Right.
sidebar, Your
All
Honor.
the people, hey, requesting sidebar.
We're requesting sidebar. I think Sayer, as we're like pacing up and down, he's consistently fidgeting over his antlers. I'm not wearing my antlers this whole time. God damn it.
Naked.
Naked. I was like, where's my antlers? I'm wearing my antlers. Sayer has his antlers. He's teasing against the fuzz against his antlers, and he says, "Look, I think we need a phone base.
I have some questions.
This
And as he says that, Zainin just moves his fingers to summon the oracle. Subtly
happens.
hoping
Nothing
Oh.
happens.
he does it again.
Nothing happens.
Lumira goes, okay, fine. The oracle does not happen exactly, but I know
No.
what oracle could possibly happen. And she pulls up the direct call to Artemis.
Nothing happens.
She does it again.
It doesn't
All right.
occur.
And again.
It does not occur.
And one more time.
Uh-uh.
And again. What the fuck?
Lumira.
You mean to tell me right now that on every single mission that we've ever been on, we have been able to summon Artemis or talk to anyone at the Syndicate, and now is the time in which we are not able to summon Artemis? You want to sit here and tell me that that's not a
Agent
that's not a cause
Lumira.
for detail right now?
Calm
Agent
yourself.
Ash. Agent Ash.
Both of you.
Lumira
Say-
looks at Sayir like you just called her out her name. Like,
Yeah. Like, I think Sayer was already, his eyes were already wide at the normal Oracle not blipping to existence. His eyes widen more when the patron saint does not answer our call, and his hand goes to the hammered moon necklace around his neck. We cannot. And as he sees that, is like, careful, they can see us. And he's like looking at the other gods that are marching around.
As you do, none of the other gods seem to have noticed what you were saying over the drum beats. They were also all very absorbed in their own anxieties, eager to rush inside. None of them except Longhui. My sweet, dear strike team Nova, they've been watching you like a hawk this entire time. They did not go in when Druling went in. They're still standing a ways off. Their arms are crossed. They're looking at your group. You're not sure if they heard what Lumira said. How she referred to your party with agent as the honorific. But they do approach. And they approach Sayer directly. Their black eyes are fixed on you.
Not me.
Yes, you. They're shorter than you, but they have a
Sayir.
imposing
Not me.
presence. Yes, you, Sayir. And as all of you are ending up as like the last people to enter the hall, they come up next to you, Sayir, and they say, 8,924. And their voice sounds like a ghost. And as that realization registers in all of your minds, their eyes tear away from Sayer and they look directly at you, Zynon. Like they can see you. Like, really see you. And then they look back at Sayer. 8,924 merits. That is how much you owe me, Sayer. You do
Sayer,
not just punch one of my coin machines and eat at it like some layperson's cheap buffet.
Sayer sees that and meets that, and his instinct is to meet the challenge. To look at this person amidst all this dread, amidst all the situation that is currently befalling the gods. Is this really the time to antagonize one another? But he pacifies that and just nods his head in a gesture not his, a smile not his own, clumsy against his own skin. Forgive me, master of the gambling house. I will find a way to repay you. A mistake. That's what it is. I meant no offense.
A mistake. I see. And Longhui leans back slightly. They finally look at Lumira, not with the same kind of piercing, burning gaze they'd fixed onto Zynon or Sayer, but considering you as well. And then something interesting happens with their gaze. It slides up and glances at the space above each of your heads in turn, finally landing on Sayer's. They look back down at you. Make sure you are good on your word. This huntress might be disappointed if you are not.
Sayer does not hide his surprise. when the Huntress is invoked. And he just smiles. Yes, I am a man of my word. Please do not concern yourself, mistress of the gambling den.
He pauses and then unceremoniously turns, like leaves your party behind and walks into the hall.
Before that, can I attempt to connect?
Oh, okay. You sure can. You know what? I think it's interesting if you do. So when you attempt to connect with someone, reveal something intimate to them and roll 2d6 plus tags. Let's say this is happening as they're turning away and starting to walk.
Lumira will kind of call on her flashes of history and the bits of pieces that she knows. It is interesting, genuinely, how I think both of us have pieces to the puzzle that we could possibly help the other. My associates are privy, but I think there is a very special detail to those of us who I think that are missing a central piece to what we believe is reality. I would be willing to hear your take on it. Not even willing, genuinely. I am interested to hear your take. And what you've been brought to see or lived to see as the truth. I think your middle and my middle lay somewhere similar.
So, if I'm getting this right, Lumira, the intimate thing you're revealing is that you have a mission, a goal that you will basically stop at nothing to achieve, yes? So, what rather personal thing comes up either in words or in your expression or in your face that Longwei can see?
I think in Lumira's eyes have continuously and always been a telltale to her, genuinely. And I think what starts as her eyes looking inquisitive, what happens is her pupils dilate and take up a good majority of her iris to the point where there is no more iris there, and take everything and wipe it away. Something similar to how oblivion annihilates.
Okay. Roll 2d6 plus tags.
Okay. Let's see. I will do tags. I'm gonna go on ahead and do forbidden knowledge again. As well as if I could use healing.
Interesting.
In a way, because I'm trying to connect. Well, my thinking is I'm trying to connect with this character on a level that I believe that none of the rest of my agents of Nova truly understand and identify on. And is that there's something there, but we're not 100% sure what exactly it is. And there's some mystery that is henceforth lying behind it.
Sure. I would say that's probably closer to diagnoses.
Okay.
Which would still
I'm
work.
okay with that.
So that's,
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yes. Let's do as a +2.
Okay.
Yes.
so on point. 5.
I
Yeah.
was not expecting that. Okay. Oh, I thought you did well. Okay. On a 6-, that's a miss. Your bid for connection implodes. You suffer or worsen a status of the GM's choice. Okay. As you hold out a hand, metaphorically, toward Long Hui, entreating them to give something to you because you're willing to offer it, they raise their black-tipped hands, similar to your gold tips, but like shadows instead, and both of their hands are covered in this dark shade. They raise their black-tipped fingers and they stroke the head of the snake that is coiled around their shoulders, which rises up to meet their action. And without looking at you, without even slowing their pace, they say, "She was right." And then they pause briefly and they look not just at Lumira, but at all three of you. "I wonder who she is. Do the three
Who
of
do
you
you
even
mean?
know?"
Who do you mean?
What are you talking about? Who is she?
Careful about reaching a hand out to people you don't understand. I can take care of my own. I always have. Long Hui turns and strides right into the hall.
Lumira raises her hands at that statement and backs up completely. Like, in full, I totally 100% get it. Don't.
I
We
think
have to
as
go
soon
in.
as soon as Long Hui moves in, Saya looks back at the two of Nova. "Beware the veil. Remember, they can't look beyond it. We can't let them look beyond it."
We have to be more careful than ever.
There is something there.
You have to let it go. We have to go inside. And Xanon
What?
just starts walking.
One thing at a time, Lumira. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Come, Emperors.
As the three of you walk inside, Sing's last words resonating in your ears coming out of someone else's mouth. We enter this hall, and we see a throne room that is easily the size of multiple town squares. The floors here are made of pure marble. The pillars, there are so many pillars, they are carved from purest jade. On one side of the hall, you even see a lavish table laden with fruits and boughs of all kinds. Gods have streamed into this throne room, as varied and numerous as stars. They congregate mostly to the sides of the Imperial Hall, leaving an open walkway straight down in the middle of the throne room. The only gods who don't stick to the sides are, of course, the top candidates for the position of Emperor's Virtue, the so-called 4 symbols of the City of Heaven. You see in the middle of this walkway, approaching the throne, of course, Yen Zhiling, the gentleman scholar. Walking behind her only slightly is the next symbol of the city. You see them. A straight-backed, no-nonsense, heavenly official who wears the humble blue robes of an administrator. They are fat, they have this smooth, light brown skin and a soft but angular face. Their eyes are large and downturned, and their long black hair is tied into a tall, elegant ponytail. Ta carries an intricately carved, dark wooden abacus in one hand, and the other is tucked in the small of Ta's back as Ta patiently waits with eyes upon the throne. Unlike Zhiling, this symbol is attracting few to no stares from the people around them, and that seems to be precisely to their liking. Their demeanor is neither extravagant nor understated. It is perfectly in the middle, elegant and refined, with an edge of poeticism. There are no wasted movements with them, only efficiency and grace. Their eyes are sharp, intelligent, calculating, as cold as Zhiling's are hot. Based on the color of their robes and the respectful nods in their direction, you gather that this is Mu Chunjing, the head administrator that Xiao Cheng had mentioned. The third of the symbols that you notice, pulling up after Chunjing, is possessed of an exuberance that makes her feel charmingly youthful and rather familiar. Her eyes are big, bright, blinking and black. Her demeanor is upbeat, cheerful, smiling. Even her hair looks joyful. It's short and black and unkempt, but in a sweet way, like a puppy's fur. You're struck with the urge to run your fingers through it. Ta wears plain white robes secured with a blue sash, where a small steel hammer is tucked away. She's looking around the hall as she walks with this open, unabashed excitement, like this is her first time being in such a place. And with a big, toothy grin on Ta's face, Ta waves at the gathered gods, the vast majority of whom greet her back with genuine affection. She appears to be quite popular. But despite her sunny disposition, you can tell, even with her robes, even from this distance, that she is muscular. Their back is broad, their legs are thick and sturdy, their arms look like steel coils. They're not very tall, but they are stocky. They're strong. Before she reaches the other end of the hall, this person darts over to someone standing amongst the other gods in the sidelines. And based on who they run up to, it becomes clear that this person is Lu Hua, the Forge Master's apprentice. Because the Forge Master herself, whom Lu Hua approaches, stands like a soundless mountain amongst the other gods. Gang Shuijiang appears as an older woman. If she were mortal, perhaps she'd be in her 50s. But she is big, and she's hale. Ta is the only person in the Hall of Peerless Destiny not wearing robes. Instead, Ta is shirtless. You see a barrel-strong chest and reams of muscle underneath sturdy layers of fat. Tufts of white fur sprout from her chest, her arms, all the way down her spine, and Ta's ears are on top of Ta's head, shaped like a tiger's, rounded and reactive, with an old cut on one side. She wears these simple trousers and a blacksmith's apron around her waist, along with a belt of tools. Ta's hair is short and black and unkept, kind of just like Ta de Menti, but not in the same charming way of the youth in front of Ta. Rather, it's unkempt in a way that suggests Ta doesn't really take care of Ta herself. Just looking at Shuijiang, you can tell she was once mortal. That she ascended rapidly when she was older. That instead of taking a younger appearance when she became a god, she chose to keep this form, the one she had when she could still bleed. You know all of this because Shuijiang wears the truth of it plainly on her body for everyone to see. Lu Hua pays respects to their mentor with a small bow, drawing an affirmative hum from the crowd before they continue onward toward the throne. And the fourth and final symbol to enter the space is, of course, Lang Hui, the heavenly liaison who had just left Strike Team Nova shaken in their boots. As she enters the Hall of Peerless Destiny, a few strides behind the rest of the symbols, the other gods do the opposite that they did for Zhiling. They shrink away from him, like light fleeing from shadow. He seems unbothered. They move away from your party, and they step forward with the easy confidence of a snake about to strike. Given their uncanny abilities, perhaps, and even uncannier personality, few are so bold as to look Lang Hui directly in the eyes. Few except the other symbols. So as the symbols begin to form a line at the base of the currently empty throne, how do you all enter and where do you choose to stand?
Upon entry, because Zainan was walking purposefully, his pretty long legs striding, his boots clicking on the beautiful stone floor, he pulls off his hat, and I think he starts to look with his true eyes, the eyes of a ghost, as he walks into the room. His curiosity from Lang Hui so piqued, and he has this need to see what it was that they saw. And so he walks in and takes it all in. And I think maybe accidentally separates himself from the world of the living a little bit.
Oh my god, I think that's gonna be channel your power. So when you channel your mythos or logos to overcome an obstacle, reshape the environment, or extend your senses, describe how your power flares and roll 2d6 plus tags.
So, I have an ability called Unspoken Eulogies in my tag.
Hello? Okay.
Specifically drawing on how he feels about everything that's gone on around Sing and the echoes of her and all the things that he didn't get to say to her. And Untethered Existence, both from my mythos theme. And I think that's it.
I'm gonna invoke a weakness tag, Haunted
Yeah.
by Dusty Memories.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a +1 total.
6.
What's happening? Okay, how does your power flare?
He really isn't sure why he can do what he's doing. I mean, like, he was a ghost for a couple of months, but that's very different than trying to use it to see things and do things. And I think that he unknowingly, as he pulls his hat off, shakes off his mortal form, and a ghost hand of who he really is. A glimmer of real Zainanesh, not this city of heaven Zainanesh. A black-gloved hand holds a hat with no tassels, and a little bit of his trans uniform, a little bit worn more than it should be, is just glimmering from where it shouldn't be.
Yes. And as you lower your hat, the edges of your body, Zainan, begin to fade. Begins to turn translucent. From your perspective, everyone else starts to fade. And instead of mist rolling in, it's dust filtering past your eyes. So much dust, an entire world's worth of dust. Just running in front of your mind's eye. But for Seir and Lumira and all the other gods here, you feel a chill emanate from Zainan, as though you were being washed in a pure, cold waterfall that no one can see. It's like Zainan is a drop hitting the surface of a pond, and you're feeling ripples rock outward from him. As these unseen ripples hit the gods on either side of this walkway, they stop looking at the symbols and waiting for the Emperor, and they start turning, talking a little disturbed, anxious. You hear a couple of them mutter, "Is that the mist? What is that?" But other gods say, "It doesn't feel like the mist. That's something demonic." And people are muttering about demons now. And none of this is happening close enough to the other end of the hall, because this is a huge hall for people by the throne to see or notice. But one symbol does turn around. Langhui. Langhui turns fully, looks directly at Zainan, who's continuing to slip out of reality. Their eyes widen a fraction, just a fraction of an inch. They cock their head briefly to the side, and you see their black-tipped hands twist as though they were unscrewing a jar by the hem of their waist. And Zainan, you feel yourself twist back into your body. You've been forcibly pulled out of this ghost realm you're trying to walk into and situated back into your city of heaven form. Yes, Lumira. You're muted.
Damn it! Of course I am. As someone who is also twisting in their magic is a part of my repertoire. That is how I rewind time, create liminals, XYZ. Is there anything that would be similar to, or even remotely close to what it is that I do, that I could possibly pick up on and be like,
Lumira, you know enough, even in your elementary dabblings in chronergy, that this is not time magic. It's much closer to whatever the hell Zidon was doing, perhaps unintentionally. And Zidon, as you get kind of twisted and flung back into your body, you have to mark one fade or crack on a theme of your choice.
Oh, it's... Oh, God. I think he cracks on one of his Logos themes. I think that he is shunted back into reality so harshly that a crack forms in his lone survivor of Kaseki, the one who walked in all of this dust. He was suddenly rejected from something that is so fundamental to who he is. And he's a little bit in shock and just kind of looks around. And he gathers himself.
Seer comes up behind you and steadies your back with his palm, looking you up and down. Zidon?
The mission. We should stick to the mission. And he just starts to stumblingly, but eventually easily walk forward again.
Does your party stay in the middle of the hall where no one else is, except for the four symbols, or do you join the sidelines?
No, gonna go try and blend in.
Join the sidelines.
We're gonna try and attempt subtlety here.
Okay.
Sayer would like to move. I think he's lagging behind Zidon and Lumira. He's a little disoriented by everything that's happening. He's hungry, and there's so much information, so many threats abound, and I think he's going to stand by the table of all of the food and fruits and treats. And I think his hunger gets the better of him. He picks up a fruit and starts nibbling on it as he is... I mean, this just looks like a buffet. Why not pick something up? And he just stands there with everybody. And he's contemplating all of this. His blue eyes are darting wildly between the four symbols, Zidon and Lumira, the tensions that exist there, the fact that we had that interaction with Lang Hui. And Artemis didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Blocked, whatever. And Sayer feels so isolated, like he's at the precipice of a tall mountain or a cliff, and he has nowhere else to go. He needs answers. He needs to focus, recenter something. He takes a bite of whatever fruit he picks up. And Connie, I would like to attempt to brood.
So yeah, that is a move I wrote. Yes, I love this. This is the first time we'd be using this. Sayer, you step up. You step up to the table laden with peaches and bows. There were a couple of gods lingering here, taking a few bites here or there, but as everyone finished filtering in, they returned to the sidelines and cast their gaze toward the throne. So it's just you and the rest of your strike team if you decide to follow Sayer, and a chef god standing behind the table. They seem to be the person who has curated the spread, and as you approach, they give you a bright smile. They are a small, slight, chipper-looking god with a rather dirty apron in front of their robes that they seem to have just like kind of messily put on in order to make sure that the food doesn't stain their otherwise beautiful appearance. They have long auburn hair that flows to their waist that has various little braids and trinkets and beads woven into the tresses. They give you a bright smile and glittering black eyes. As you reach toward a bow, they say, "Ah, yes, you have wonderful taste. That is a bow that will grant you 300 years of longevity."
Thank you. And I think he looks upon this person, their dark eyes and the lovely braids within their hair, and he remembers an old shadow, one he hasn't seen in so long, and his face softens a little bit as he picks up this bow. He says, "Thank you. Will it fill? Is it a filling? Will it fill me up?"
Oh yes, yes, it will fill you for 300 years as well.
Fantastic. And Sayer picks it up and like smiles once more, a clumsy smile, and he picks up. He stands close by to the table and takes a bite out of the bao.
I'm gonna need you to, as you
Jeez,
bite
to
into
roll-
the bao, you're gonna
Oh,
brood.
no.
So...
Okay, I thought you were gonna make me do something else, so I was like, huh?
No. So as you're chewing on this thing, when you take a beat to brood about the events at hand, name what's troubling you and roll 2d6 plus logos, which is the number of logos themes you have, which I believe is 2.
Yes, I have 2 logos themes.
What
The
is
little
troubling you,
hunter-
Sayer?
Little Hunter and the Chosen One Shadow. What is troubling me is the fact that everything feels outside of our grasps as agents. Like, I feel like our hold on all of the moving cogs in this is slipping from our fingers, and we are tumbling into an abyss of intrigue that we're not ready for. And I think that's what he's specifically thinking about, of like, how can I help anchor us as Nova here? And he's just trying
Excellent.
to parse through that. All right, 2d6 plus my 2 plus 2.
Yes.
Amazing, love that. Okay, finally some he/him redemption over here. That's 11 on the die plus 2, 13.
That's excellent. So, no matter the outcome, choose one to answer. The GM will answer the other. So the 2 questions you get access to are, what am I not seeing? And how can I move on from this? This is some fun tech from Godkiller, which is a game of my own writing and creation.
I'm going to answer the second question of how can I move on from this. And I think the conclusion that Sayer comes to in his head is we need allies. We need allies, and his eyes flit over to Lu Hua. And as his eyes flit over to Ta, he kind of like gazes into Tada's energy, demeanor, brightness, this heroic light that exudes out of Ta. And they just sit there and remember someone who feels exactly that same way. His own bright-eyed sister, that energy. Maybe there's an ally to be made here. If we make an enemy, if we make an adversary of one, we can make an ally in another. And maybe she's our ticket. So I think that's the answer he comes to with how can I move on from this, is finding an ally, and that ally being her.
Okay. I will answer, what am I not seeing? The big picture here, Sayer. That's what's tugging at you. You're running into these strange little anomalies that by themselves you have no idea how to solve. Rumors of monsters in the mist, that strange hunger that's tugging at you, rumors of shadows, of those strange sounds, things that sound like names but aren't really. 2 different cities of heaven. That's what it is. You think about it. There are 2 different cities of heaven. There's the one that you zapped in on when you first arrived here, the completely empty city of heaven, Xiaocheng, the goose, the orange-shaped oracle. And then there's the one here when it all got dark and mist rolled in. And you stepped forward and there were suddenly gods everywhere. The gods here, the missing gods are here. The gods you were looking for, the gods that went, that disappeared, that vanished, they're here. They're not ghosts. You touched one of them. Many of them, actually. They have scent, they have sound, they have personality and presence. This doesn't feel like an illusion or anything like that. Each of these gods are, for all intents and purposes, they are real, they are here. But there are 2 different cities of heaven. How could that be possible? And the mist is at the center of all of it. That's what you're not seeing. That's that bigger picture. On a 10 plus, which is what you got, the GM will also tell you what much needed help or ally comes to you in this moment. It is all of the gods taking in a deep breath and straightening their backs as you all sense the Emperor arrive. So Sayer, even with your mouth full of bao, you're chewing it. It feels delicious in your mouth, and you're sure that if you swallow it, it would fill that strange pang in your stomach. You hope. But before it's even able to slide down your esophagus, you feel the aura in the room change. So do you, Zynon, and so do you, Lumira. And as the three of you take up your positions, there's another beat of drums ringing out. And all eyes turn to the very back of the hall of Peerless Destiny, where you all see the throne. It is carved from fragrant red sandalwood and inlaid with gems of every color imaginable. It perches upon a raised dais that's separated from the rest of the grand hall by a vast moat of amethyst water. And entering from the veil beyond, just stepping into existence, haloed by the eventide light streaming through glass panels mounted in the ceiling, is the immortal emperor, Longdu. Longdu is a stoic and imposing woman. Her face is ageless. Their hair is an obsidian river. Tada robes are violet, deep violet, graded with black and white like striations in purest jade. 4 strings of pearls dangle from her crown, shimmering past her lashes, but nothing is strong enough, cruel enough, beautiful enough to contain the force of the Emperor's gaze. Longdu's eyes are so black, they're indigo. They are the color of a mortal soul that has inflicted so much violence upon the gods that it too has become divine. As soon as Longdu enters, the entire hall falls silent. All eyes turn to look reverently upon the immortal emperor. She sits down on the throne and then looks at the head administrator, Mu Chunjing. Chunjing steps forward, the beads of their abacus clinking together with a melodic sound that rings through this grand hall like a prayer bell. They raise their throat and speak. Their voice is as clear and harmonious as those abacus beads, but there's something restrained about the affect, something unacknowledged. All welcome the immortal Emperor Longdu, devourer of the devouring, grand adjudicator of the game, sovereign on high of Yaolan, the amethyst dragon. All around you, the assembled gods move in acknowledgement. Some bow, some raise their hands in greeting, others flare with magic. What divine emotion strikes each of you as you see the most powerful god in the city of heaven? And how do you show your acknowledgement?
I think it comes almost naturally natural to Lumira. It is the feeling and effervescence of some beings that are greater than her. And although she completely understands and feels that way in the presence of fate, it's doubly impactful outside for some reason. So Lumira just bows and drops to one knee, does not make any eye contact or anything along the lines of that. It is a complete show of submission and understanding and respect amongst those that she knows and feels and recognizes as higher than herself.
What about you, Zynon?
Zynon is at first overwhelmed, and then it moves into underwhelm. He's not encountered a god on any of his missions with Trans. And then he remembers the feeling from moments ago, years ago, meeting Fate. And somehow those two things collide. And he feels this intense clash inside of him before he feels that ground under his feet, and he remembers they're not at trans. So much like Lumira, he is overcome with the sense of a trans agent encountering a god again. But his is one of absolute fear. We're not meant to see these people, and he is feeling very out of sorts and out of his depth, and all he can manage is a deep bow from the waist, but his hands are shaking while he does it, overwhelmed by divinity.
And what about you, Sayer?
Thayer sees the Emperor take up their place upon the throne, and he's met royals, he's met the gods of the Wild Sea, who were the oil dragon and the large tree. And when he looks at Longdu, he doesn't see fate, magic, or any of the gods or kings and queens he's met before. He sees the Huntress. Someone who hunts something far more frightening than any of Nova can imagine. And I think he recognizes that. His bright blue eyes recognize that fierceness, that intensity, that gravitas that Longdu presents. And as he is overwhelmed by that feeling of being in Artemis's presence, his hand goes to his crescent blades. He unsheaths one of them, beats it against his chest, and holds that salute, the same resolute acknowledgement that he gives to the patron saint of mortals.
As each of you acknowledge the Emperor in your own particular ways, with honor, with fear, with respect, the Emperor raises her chin and lifts a hand, and the gods quiet. And then Ta opens Ta's mouth, and Ta speaks. And on that, we're going to end the session. So thank you all so much for tuning in to this very special Chinese New Year episode.
Keep getting away.
How do you even give us a sentence, a syllable, a little
They're
word?
running away. They're
This
running
is me getting away with it.
Not even
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Chinese
yeah.
New Year? Not even a little word?
Wait.
Not a little angbao of a
need, like-
little word?
There you go. Yeah. God.
Yeah, that's what I needed.
Happy Chinese New Year, everybody.
Happy Chinese
Connie
New
gets
Year.
away with another crime.
No red
Connie
envelope
gets
for
away
you.
with
No
another
red envelope
crime.
for you. That's me. It's a treat for Connie. Not a single word for you. But yes, thank you all so much for tuning in. We are going to be back next week, same time, same place. But before that, quick round of introductions so you can follow and find everyone on social media. These are incredible players, starting with Val.
Hi everyone, I am Valiant, you're not you when you're hungry Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Odds Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure hunt I just set you on. And tonight I have the distinct pleasure of playing your hungry little meow meow Sayer, who uses he, they pronouns. I'm going to pass it over to the ghost of the hour, Kai.
It's me, the ghost of the hour. I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me everywhere as Estelle of Imladris, and I had a yeehaw time tonight, yeehawing my way through being a tragic ghost man, Mr. Zanin Esh, who uses he, him pronouns. And I had a lovely time bickering away with our chronologist, Sam.
Well, it's your chronologist here. Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Star. I use she, they, and the occasional fate pronouns. And you can find me all across the interwebs at Lust for Life. That's LUSTTFORLIFEEX. Yeah, it's a mouthful. At this point in time, I'm not changing it because it's been this at so long at this point. Everyone knows me as this. And honestly, changing it now would be more work than it's worth. So that's where you'll find me. Consistently being the main person with, sense in this team of he, hims. What's up, boss?
Well, you were kind of like blinded by the word I can't say on Twitch or TikTok when it came to drooling, though. You're like,
We're not
know her
talking about
strap
that.
is big.
Connie,
Anyway.
we didn't say anything about that. We were talking about the he hims. You had to bring up any of that shit. But here you go, starting shit already. We didn't even
That's
start
me.
yet.
That's me starting shit already. I'm Connie. You can find me all across the internet at by Connie Chong. If you're watching this on TikTok, give me a follow, tap those likes, tell your friends about the TikTok stream. Yes, and send them my TikToks that you enjoy. Because I take clips and highlights of this show and I put them on TikTok and it's fun to watch. We will be back next week. I believe that is the 17th of February, 8 p.m. US Eastern Time, wherever you like to watch live streams, whether that's TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch. All VODs will be put up on YouTube within a few days of them being aired. We also have a podcast backlog. If you're like, what the heck is this? But it looks cool. I want to listen to this from the beginning. We are the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, wherever you pod your casts, namely Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but wherever. We love you all so much. We're going to be back next week. 新年快乐, 春节快乐, and Happy New Year. Happy Chinese New Year. Goodbye, friends. See you next week.
Bye.